I was asked a question in the MHF4U class about the reason for the order of quadrants on a unit circle. Knowing that sine theta graph starts at 0, 0, why was the clockwise direction assigned to give negative values for angles, even though the clockwise rotation allows moving forward in the positive sense on the x-axis, whereas the counterclockwise rotation allows moving backwards in the negative sense on the x-axis? So I relate that to students, gave it to students to think about it in groups, and they got to think about possible reasons for the outcomes, for that outcome. And what they came up with was, if a clockwise rotation is considered positive, then at 90 degrees or pi by 2 radians, the sine theta value is negative 1 compared to its real value at positive 1. Then a student asked, well, then why would we start the rotation? Why wouldn't we start the rotation from the negative side of the x-axis in a clockwise rotation? Again, students thought about the reasons and came to the conclusion that even though that works well with sine theta, but it does not fit the cosine graph or values. So what I'm going to show right now is what they thought about, and I'm going to use purple color for that reason. So as for the sine graph, as you can see here from the chart, from the sketch, it starts at 0, 0, and that's its starting point, and it goes to pi by 2 at y equals 1, goes at x equals pi to y equals 0, at x equals 3 pi by 2 to negative 1, and at 2 pi goes to 0, which really works well with starting from the negative sense here, from the origin 0, 0, if that would be the origin, moving up at x equals pi by 2, y is 1, at x equals pi, y is 0, at x equals 3 pi by 2, y is negative 1, and at x equals 2 pi, y is 0. It suits the green graph perfectly. But now looking at the cosine graph, first we're starting from, at x equals 0, we're starting at a y for a cosine equals to negative 1. So you're starting from, technically, the vertically reflected cosine graph. And as a result, if you keep moving, cosine 0 is negative 1, cosine pi is 0, that's fine. Cosine pi becomes 1, and cosine 3 pi by 2 is back to 0, cosine 2 pi is back to negative 1. So it's technically the vertically reflected cosine graph. And that's where they came to the conclusion that in order for both sine and cosine graphs to be accommodated, therefore the quadrants have to be called as quadrant 1 here, 2, 3, and 4, and the rotation has to go counterclockwise starting from the positive x-axis in order to accommodate both cosine and sine graphs.